we have Jamie Haggard, and he is the CEO and founder of Green Sun Medical, which again is one of our AngelMD portfolio companies. And Jamie, while you introduce yourself, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get your slides pulled up.
Yeah, make sure that's doing good. Hello, my name is Jamie Haggard. I'm based out of actually Fort Collins, Colorado, and we were one of the first AngelMD companies to receive a syndicate investment. My name is Jamie Haggard. Like I said, we have a company, Green Sun Medical. We're initially starting out focusing on adolescents with scoliosis, but as you'll see, we're adding other patients too. Go ahead and go to the next. We started the company back in 2015 and assembled a world-class team of surgeon thought leaders in scoliosis treatment. Our whole idea was that instead of fusing these young kids, we wanted to create a dynamic brace to provide continuous pressure, just like you would with orthodontics or with kids with club feet. You'll see in the slides, they get progressive casts in order to correct their deformity. So we were able to get this whole team of great surgeons on board, and we started working through a series of prototypes. We're now, the whole idea was to apply continuous pressure. Kids for the last 50 years since the Boston brace came out have been given a rigid plastic corset. And if you can imagine having a 12-year-old girl, there we go. We can just probably do it like that. Yeah, there we go. So these young 12-year-old girls, they're diagnosed with scoliosis, and their scoliosis is not just a curve; it's also a rotation, as you can see on the left picture there. So go to the next one. And so the standard of care is once these kids develop a curve, they're observed, then they get bracing, which is a rigid plastic corset that they're told to wear 20 hours a day. And if bracing fails, they end up with an average 10-level spinal fusion. It costs over $150,000, and it's the second leading hospital charge for adolescents. It's second only to appendicitis in the U.S. Go ahead and go to the next. And so the standard of care is a Boston brace. It was developed same year as Atari Pong, 1972. Go ahead. And I talked about this. We want to apply continuous pressure. The body responds to low pressure over time, whether it's in orthodontics or with club feet. And so what we've developed is the Whisper brace. We make a custom brace for each of these kids based on standard modular parts, and it's assembled and designed based on a 3D scan of their torso that's mated with their x-rays. With this brace, they have much more comfort. Their quality of life is much improved. They can move. It's much more breathable. The temperature is lower, and they can eat. The brace is adjustable, so they don't just outgrow it in a few months if they go through a growth spurt. And most importantly, we're applying continuous corrective pressure to these kids. Go ahead. So like this young lady, I wish we had the video on it, but we don't. You can see it on our website, greensunmedical.com. But all of these kids, when they first put on the Whisper brace, they all do this kind of whisper wiggle. They kind of move around and look like weeble wobbles because they're so happy that they can finally use their core muscles. We also added a connectivity portion to this. So we wanted to be able to measure patient outcomes. We also wanted to give them feedback. So these kids now became empowered in their own care, and they were able to see how many hours a day they were wearing their brace. We're also able to collect that and show that to insurance companies and other providers. As far as adults, this young lady is in Orange County, California, and she has significant back pain when she's standing. She doesn't have any laying down or sitting, but she can barely walk because her head is not aligned over her pelvis. She wears our brace about 8 hours a day, and she has significant pain relief, and it even lasts when she's not wearing it. She showers at night, and she says she no longer has pain in the shower every evening because there's a residual effect from the brace. We've got the connected wearable therapy. So we're tracking compliance with the brace, but we've received our second National Science Foundation grant. We've received $1.25 million now from them. We've enabled embedded pressure sensor system into the pad, so we can actually track how much pressure we're putting on the patients and see if and we take that reading as it matches with their x-rays to make sure that we're providing the proper amount of pressure and taking a reading off of that, and then we can follow it and make sure we're continually applying that much pressure. If it starts to go down, we can bring the kids in just like you would with orthodontics and increase the pressure. We've started a biomechanical validation study at several leading hospitals, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, Shriners System. We've had 23 patients complete the 3-month study. Most kids in regular braces are only about 30 to 40% compliant, and we've seen kids that were up over 90% compliant with kids wearing our brace. A home run for a brace, oops, can you go back one? A home run for right now for treatment is if a young lady has a 25-degree curve and at skeletal maturity, she still has a 25-degree curve and it didn't get worse, that's a home run. We've actually seen some grand slams in our study where patients have had 25-degree curves on their x-ray out of brace, and after 3 months wearing our brace, it was down below 6 degrees. Go to the next one. We've got a world-class team. Most of these surgeons are design team leaders for spinal implants at companies like Synthes, Medtronic, and Stryker, yet all of them have joined us to help keep these kids out of surgery. And the next. We've got a great team that all of us have at least 15 to 30 years of experience in medical devices, and especially most of this is in spine. Our opportunity right now is we have a $4 million preferred equity round. We only have 800,000 left on it. We were led by a strategic orthopedic company, and it has a 12.5 million pre-money valuation. We're using the funds for a full partnership or commercialization. We're developing a hybrid sales team. We're creating this sensor intelligence platform with the NSF funds. And then we're also increasing our inventory production and bringing on board a contract manufacturer. We're also putting funds towards direct-to-consumer marketing. We have a world-class website that Facebook groups for scoliosis now refer to our website so families can learn about how to treat their children. We've won many awards, including the biggest one in MedTech for startups, the MedTech Innovator. We won the grand prize. We've also received a grant from J&J to use their J-Labs. We have some serious potential partners for acquisitions. We do have an investment banker engaged and is in negotiations for that. And if at the end of the day, it's about the quality of life, and if you can imagine a world where these young ladies are prevented from having their spines get worse, and also those seniors who have horrible spines, if we can reduce their pain and increase their quality of life so they can get back to the things that they'll enjoy, then we'll be successful.
Great. Thanks, Jamie. Sorry. Glad we made it through the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys have made a lot of progress since the initial investment, which is super exciting. There's a couple of questions from our audience. And before we get to that, I would love to hear a little bit more about your clinical pilots that you're doing. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So getting the surgeon team together, we want to see what do you guys want to see, and what are you going to need to tell all your colleagues to use this brace? And they said, well, we want to see comparison x-rays. So the kids have to be in a rigid Boston style brace for at least 5 months, and we take an out of brace x-ray. So, okay, out of brace, they have a 35-degree curve, let's say. They wear our brace, and in brace, it's down to 20 degrees. They have to wear our brace for a week, and then we take an in-brace x-ray. As long as we are matching or beating that in-brace x-ray, then they're cleared to wear it for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, we take an out of brace x-ray and compare them to make sure they're doing okay. And then also we measure their compliance.
Great. And do you have any early data you can share with us?
Yeah,
How long are these
seeing
going?
We've had it going since the beginning of 2020. We've had some COVID issues, as you can imagine, on some things, but some sites like Shriners in St. Louis had their kids come back for the 3 months in like May last year when everything was crazy. They stopped all their other clinical studies, but continued with us because they saw these early results with our kids. So we've been very successful with that. We're trying to get 35 patients in it. We've had some logistical challenges with surgeons moving to different. We've had 3 sites where surgeons have moved who are primary investigators, and so we're getting our other sites up to speed and doing that. It was nothing with our brace, but they selfishly eventually took better jobs at other places. So we're
that sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
A question from our audience: are the forces only coronal, and how does it then affect the sagittal plane?
Right. So no, they're not. So there's two dimensions on the brace. So scoliosis is a rotation and a curve. So you can apply pressure above and below and then laterally and help straighten a curve. You also have to derotate. And if you see I can even show it maybe on the back of the brace, the spring systems on the back, we can push and pull. And so if you see this the rings aren't aligned, they're actually twisted. So we're applying derotational forces to the spine as well.
Fantastic. So I know you presented a little bit about your exit opportunities, but there's a question from the audience on, so what is this brace going to sell for? And then what's your competition look like?
So first question is $6,000 for the brace, which there's two main types of braces. There's Boston braces, probably got 80% market share. There is some custom braces called a Rigo Chanel, and those get priced $5,000 to $10,000. So we're in the range of the higher end custom braces. And sorry, what was the second question?
Was about your competition.
Yeah, so the competition is like literally Boston brace and surgery. Right. So it is. And if you can imagine these 12-year-old kids, they are not happy about wearing a rigid plastic corset, even if it's a newer style custom one. When we give them that movement, it's just night and day difference.
So one last question from our audience. How do you make the braces look cool and reduce the stigma for the brace wearers? What is?
Yeah, we focus a lot on patient compliance and what was keeping kids away from, why weren't they wearing their brace? We have a kind of a really soft fabric garment that they wear underneath it for comfort that folds over it. So pretty much covers it, and they just wear a t-shirt over it. We also did many other things. We learned one of the main reasons they don't wear it to school is just because they used to have Velcro buckles. We have a little magnetic buckle that we thought was really cool and it works really great. The kids love it because it's quiet. And the biggest reason they don't wear a brace to school was gym class. And everybody hears them rip these big Velcro straps and comes around the corner and says, "What are you doing?" What we did is we came up with these very quiet braces buckles. And then the whole brace has a hinge system. So they can easily pop it off, and then they can pop it off. And then with the hinges, it flattens out and they can fit it in most lockers.
Oh, very cool.
So
and I'm
that's
assuming
part of the stigma is keeping it hidden. And also, if you're in a rigid brace, you kind of stand out because Frankenstein. With ours, you can move like a normal kid.
I'm imagining then they can put it on themselves.
Yes. Yeah. That
awesome.
Doesn't always happen with other braces. They're having to have someone help them in the restroom and things like that. Yeah. It's all about the user experience for us.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Jamie. I'm sure there will be other questions during our networking time, but this is really exciting. And as a pediatrician who has patients with scoliosis, this seems like a great advancement. So thank you again for what you're doing, and thanks for being here tonight.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much for letting me present.